Then, with an additional wink, he was gone. I was sure I wouldn't see either of them for the rest of the morning. I don't know why, but Anthony's words really hit me, that I would regret never living. Felt like I should take his advice and live a little in my life. The only exciting thing I've ever done was going to that bar or trying a new Thai place. I skipped lunch that day and managed to sneak out of the office early. Spent most of my day just thinking about calling Michael and what I would say. I didn't want to look at Jeremy, who knew I was lying about something, or Anthony, who knew I did in fact still have Michael's card. I know Clayton would put the pieces together and blow me in within moments of we were all together. And I couldn't handle that. Not that day, not with something like this. On my way home, I decided I would stop in for some coffee, something I never do, but I just couldn't help myself. It was cold out and I had forgotten my scarf that morning at home. Boy, was that a mistake? Or maybe it was just fate, because who happened to come up behind me? Yeah, that's right. You guessed it. Michael. I was ordering my coffee only to hear this voice behind me telling the barista that he would get my drink, and before I could turn to tell him that it was okay, and I would get it. He was giving her his order and handing her his card. However, as I turned to this stranger buying my drink, I see him. Tall, tan, those incredibly blue eyes, and he was smiling with those incredible dimples. We lock eyes and he just simply says, holding that smile, "Hello again, stranger, it's Sam, right? Sorry for imposing. Your friends told me your name." I just nodded, and before I knew what I was doing, I asked if he wanted to walk with me to grab a new scarf at Macy's. With much fear and glee, he said yes. We walked the few blocks to Macy's, talked about what we did for a living. He loved that I was an accountant. I guess before he became an investment manager, he worked as an accountant, so we actually had a lot in common, and it was crazy how much we clicked. I had even forgotten about Emily for those few hours. I have never done that before. She was normally on my mind all the time. I'm crazy about that girl. Or, well, I was. Maybe. I don't know, I guess I still am, but maybe not as much as before, if that makes any sense. He told me how he became an investments manager after getting tired of not moving up the ladder at his prior place of employment. How it was the greatest thing he ever did. Michael was really doing well for himself. But what made me really decide we had to see one another more was when I told him money didn't matter, and how I always just wanted a family with twins and that good work-home life balance. To my surprise, he had similar goals, just his had an additional dog, and of course he knew it would be with another guy and not a girl, as I always assumed. We sat and chatted more while eating some cheesecake until my phone rang. It was Emily. She must have just gotten home. It was 7 p.m. already. Michael and I have been talking for about 4 hours. I told him I really had to be going home. This time I gave him my number and told him to call me. That way I didn't feel so pressured to call or text him. I'm sure I would get scared and chicken out if he left it up to me again. I jumped in a cab and headed home while I called Emily. I could hear my messages alert go off while on with phone with Emily. I knew it had to be either Michael or worse, Jeremy, saying that Michael just told him about our random meeting. I was hopeful for the former of the two. It was. Michael had messaged me asking me to go to dinner Friday night. I instantly replied with a yes and a smiley face emoji. God, it was like I was in high school again. I got home and just sat in front of the TV watching some shows, eating pizza, and just fantasizing about how our date would go, what lie I would tell the guys to get out of our drink night, what Michael and I would do, or if he would ask me to go home with him that night, what I would tell him if I would go. Would I be honest and tell him about Emily or how he is the first guy I have ever been on a date with, talked to, or even had the slightest of feelings for? The stress was getting to me, but I was too excited to just drop it and forget about him.
Enjoying Passions Divided? Follow, like, and comment.